welcome to a new video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Rose and thank you for taking the time out to click that thumbnail. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful day and I hope you're having a great week so far. Today's video is basically picking up from the first video on how we lost Robert as fast as we did. When I sat down and filmed that video, I didn't realize that for one, it was going to be as long of a video and a process that it ended up being. And for two, when I sat down to film it, I didn't think to stop at any point and put intros and outros to a certain amount of telling the story. So now as a result, I am coming in and basically putting an intro and an outro to each to be continued on that video. I know looking back that I wanted to make sure I was just getting through telling you guys the story on what had happened and how we lost Robert. It was very painful to do. It's been very painful to go back in and edit and look at it. But I also know that as a result of sharing his story, that it's relatable and so many of you can relate. And it reminds me that I'm not alone in my grief and that there are so many others out there who are also going through the same thing that I am and who have lost a husband or a spouse or a loved one to terminal cancer or have lost somebody to cancer in general and have somebody currently in your life who has cancer. So it's been really nice kind of reading the comments and on the video on part one, which I will list in the cards for you guys, and just the pure amount of love and support that has been on that video on part one truly blows my mind, and I am so incredibly grateful for your guys' support on sharing his story because it's not an easy story to talk about. So on this one, I go even further into detail on how we lost him. Before we get into the video, if you guys like these kind of videos and you want to see more, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help my channel out. And if you guys want to see more content from me, then make sure you're subscribed. Also, be sure to check the down bar for all my other links to all my other social media platforms. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and pick up right where we left off on part one. So this is officially part two on how we lost Robert as fast as we did. And it spread from his bones to his brain. By the time it got to his brain, he ended up having 16 brain tumors. And I remember when I was at work when he called me about that. And I knew as soon as I found out he had it in his brain that it wasn't going to be much longer. And then it traveled lastly from his brain to then his lungs. And between the brain and the lung cancer, that's really what took him down as fast as it did. Because he fought it so hard. He fought it for so long, you guys, and so hard. And he looked so good. And you always hold on to the hope that that they're gonna get better and that, oh yeah, you might have a terminal cancer, but it could be 5-10 years from now. You're healthy, you're doing good, and you look great, and you're working. So he was literally good until he wasn't at the end, and it happened so fast at the end, and he let go so fast that I'm still trying to process it right now. I'm in a little bit of shock and disbelief right now, still coming home and he's not here. And I mean, he's here, but like, it's just so surreal, you guys. I can't even believe that he's gone. Okay, so here we are, take 2008. I'm just gonna try my best to get through the rest of this video for you guys. I had to stop, and I've stopped several times, and I'm losing track of where I left off at. I mean, the reality of it is he's gone, and it's really hard to process the fact that he's gone, and I blew the candles out because they were a smoky mess. I don't think I'm going to use them anymore. They're beautiful. They look really nice, but man, were they smoky. So basically, Easter weekend is when I really started to see a change in him, a significant change. But from his birthday on, February 15th on, is when I could physically see changes happening more so than ever before, like with his breathing and everything. So the cancer had already done traveled throughout his entire body at this point, and with 16 brain tumors, and now it was in his lungs. And by the time it got to his brain and his lungs, I knew that we were on limited time at this point. So really all you can do at this point when it gets spread throughout the whole body like that is just you learn to cherish every moment and live every moment to the fullest that you have with that person, because you really don't know. You know you're on borrowed time at this point. So, and that's pretty much what he did, you know. And the hardest part about it all is I still had to go to work and leave him, and it started to get to the point where, okay, he ended up getting released finally from the Cleveland Clinic, the main campus. He was up there for a week, and I was so excited to go get him and everything. But I made sure he did not come home without oxygen, because he could not breathe without it anymore, because the cancer had got into his lungs. And it's just a scary thing, you know. It's a scary place to be, and looking back at it, my heart honestly just breaks for him, because he didn't want to be left alone. He didn't want to sleep alone. He didn't ever have to sleep alone, but our bedrooms are down here. So this is the first level of our house, and the living room is above us. So it got to the point where he couldn't walk anymore, so he couldn't even come downstairs to the bed, and he would have to sleep on the chair upstairs all the time, and that was hard. He didn't want to be left alone, or he shouldn't have to be left alone, for one. And he shouldn't have to feel like he's gonna stop breathing in his sleep, and you don't want to be left alone sleeping. So I tried to be around him around the clock, and it was really hard for me on days where I had to work, because I'm at work all day long. And thankfully we have so many amazing supportive people around us that were there for him when I had to go to work, and would be here with him and help him and just love on him and encourage him too, because at this time, again, we didn't know how much time we had left with him, but he was still doing okay. And in his mind, he had every intention on going back to work this spring, both with our business and Brothers Grimm. We worked for almost 9 years, and you know, was a big part of that business and helped that company flourish into what it is today. It was to the point where they made a special position for him this year and this spring, to where all he had to do was drive around and check on all the accounts as the lead supervisor, and they gave him his cell phone. He had every intention and every meaning to go to work this spring, and here it is, it's May, and he's gone. So I do believe that God called him home before spring fully bloomed, so he wouldn't have to worry about like thinking about cutting grass or anything like that, because he would have still tried to cut grass of our own accounts, the business that he grew from the ground up. So that was his birthday on, and like I said, it got to the point where he couldn't hardly walk anymore, and he was in and out of the hospital a lot. He was experiencing a lot of different pain in his stomach and in his back, and his leg was really bothering him, and he went and saw another doctor to burn the nerves in one of his legs to help, because the tumors were on his pelvis and stuff too, and it was affecting his walking, and he couldn't hardly walk anymore. And I just can't believe he's gone. It's just so hard. And the only reason I'm doing this video is because it's what he wanted me to do. It was the one thing that he knew I loved so much, and I was so passionate about, and he was my #1 subscriber, and he would go around showing my videos to his friends, and so proud of me. And telling him, make sure you watch her ads because that's how she makes her money. I just got so hyper focused on him this year. That's why I haven't been able to get any videos up, because I just wanted to make sure that he was comfortable and well taken care of and loved and appreciated, and because you want to appreciate every moment that you have with somebody, because life is so short. Tomorrow is not promised, and one minute they're here, the next minute they're gone, and your whole life is changed. And you go from spending every day with somebody for almost 9 years, and now they're gone, and I'm left by myself to deal with another loss, and the worst loss. This has been the hardest loss that I've ever had to go through, and I've lost my whole family already. I'm just trying to do things different this time because I am an addict and I have to keep my recovery first, and I have to keep my mental health and my grief and stuff out there, and I have to share this and talk about it with people to help myself and possibly help somebody else, because I have a tendency to isolate and self-medicate when I am in times of trauma and tragedy and loss. I have a track record of it. I relapsed in 2018 when my brother died, and he saved my life then. And when my first husband died in 2015, it was his best friend, and that was when I had just got to treatment, like my first 5 days there, and he was his best friend. But from there, a seed had been planted in the both of us, and we took that seed and that mustard seed of hope, and we ran with it. We never looked back, and we built from the ground up everything that we have today. And for me to just have all of it and him to have taken away from it is so hard for me to accept right now. It's just not fair, because he worked so hard, and all he wanted to do was provide and work and continue to grow this legacy and this life that we've built together. And he's not here anymore, and it's just really hard to come to terms with right now, because he didn't deserve to die like that. He didn't deserve that at all. And now here I am, just gonna try to do my YouTube again for him, because it's what he wanted me to do, and it's what he always told me to always keep chasing after, just because I would doubt myself, and there were so many times where I didn't think that I was good enough, or I'm capable to do YouTube, or like who would want to watch me. And I'm not consistent because of my job, and I can't get videos up 2-3 times a week even. And I was like, who am I kidding? And he always believed in me, so I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna try it again for him, and he's gonna be the fire and the fuel that is gonna drive this channel basically from moving forward. So I really hope that you guys enjoy the healing, grieving process and the rediscovering who Rose is series that I'm going to be coming out with, where I'm going to be vlogging my entire grief and my entire healing process throughout losing a husband or losing a spouse to a terminal illness for the next 12 months. I'm going to vlog that for you guys, and I'm going to try my best to hit record every time that I have a phone call with a survivor support specialist or a grief counselor or a therapist or something that's going to help me get through the grief and the trauma of it and the loss of a spouse. Maybe it can help somebody else, but most importantly, I think it'll help me learn to rediscover who I am as a person by myself, as a single, independent woman, because I'm really having a hard time with this video, you guys. I just listened to our playlist, and it helps me, so I have to take breaks often because I can't play the music because of the YouTube copyright, and I don't know what songs I can and can't play on my videos anymore because I haven't uploaded in so long. And I just gotta keep calling, asking him to help me get through this, because this is not easy. Mornings and nights are absolutely debilitating when I wake up. Sometimes I can't even get out of the bed. It takes me like 2 hours to get up. Because then I realize all over again that he's gone, and I haven't been sleeping for shit. I sleep like every other night, and I'm trying so hard to like make sure I constantly reach out and I'm sharing about it and talking about it, and that's why I tried to go back to work today, and it's just so surreal. Even at work, everything just feels different. But that's really, at this point, my only normal thing that I have. And that's not even normal right now because I'm so consumed by my grief right now. And they obviously can see it. So I just went in for just 4 hours today. Just trying to get back into it slowly. I'll get better in time. But he'll never leave my heart, and the love that I have for him and what he's done for me and the person that I am today will always be there. Nobody will ever come close to what he has done for me as a person in this life and who I am today. He's been the only sense of stability and security and somebody I truly felt safe with in my entire life. And it's gone. Now I have to do it on my own. And it's a scary place to be. And of course he would tell me he wants me to move on and he wanted me to be happy, and I will move on and I'll be happy, and I'm gonna find happiness within myself. As far as looking for another relationship or being with somebody else, I can't even look at that. That's not even an option right now or anytime soon. I might date or something years from now, but nobody will ever compare to him, or nobody will ever come close to what he's done for me in my life and made me the person that I am today is because of him. So nobody can ever come close to that or will ever replace that inside of my heart, and the person that I am today is because of him. So, like I said, from Easter, really Sunday on, is when I really started noticing serious changes in him and fast. He was wanting certain people coming over all weekend long. He was wanting family over for dinners and cooking dinner and more people at the house than ever before. And he was calling people he hasn't talked to in years. And you could tell the cancer was starting to affect his brain and his thinking. And in the whole 18 months that he's had it, he's never called me from work one time and asked me that he needed me to come home, except for one time right before Easter. He texted me, and I just got there, and I only been at work 2 hours, and he said he wants me to come home, and I'm like, oh, let me just text one of our friends, Jack or somebody. I'll go, because I was at work and that's never happened before, and somebody will go help him. Everybody's always stepped up to bat to be here to support him and help him, and it means so much to me. All of you that were there to help Robert when I had to work. So I was mid-text, and then he texted me again, and he said he's getting delirious, and I just stopped everything I was doing at work and came straight home. And when I came home, he's sitting on the toilet, not going to the bathroom, but just sitting there on the toilet in the dark, and he looked so lost. I had to try to pick him up to get him onto the couch or onto the chair. I could hardly even get him up. It was right before Easter. I had to call 911 then too. That was the first time I called, because I usually would take him. I could usually just take him to the hospital myself, but I couldn't. He couldn't even walk or nothing. So I said, well, get your stuff together. I'll call 911, because they're just literally around the corner of the fire station. And it isn't. He's been at the hospital so many times at the end. It's been at least 2 or 3 or 4 times at the end here. And he was up there for a week. And then this last time he got out. And then this is where Easter weekend came around. And where he was wanting family over. And every day, all Easter weekend long, all the way into Monday, people were coming over and cooking dinners and spending time with him. And he was making phone calls to people he ain't talked to. And Monday night, I had finally got a couple of people over here to witness our will and everything. And Monday afternoon, because I'm off Sunday, Mondays, and Tuesdays, I was finally able to convince him to sit down and have me do the Social Security disability for him, because he should have honestly got on that from the start, and he refused. He refused to get on disability. And I can't blame him, you know, because all he wanted to do was work and provide. That's like giving up to him. And he was not a quitter. He was not going to just give in to the cancer and let it win. So when I finally was able to get to do it on Monday night, on Monday, it took me all day to do it. But I finally got done, and I just remember looking at him and going, we kind of got a laugh out of it. And I said, well, don't you think maybe we should have did this a little sooner? And he's like, yeah. You know, that was really hard for him to admit, because all he wanted to do was provide. All he wanted to do was work. Unlike people, you know, who just sit back and can collect disability and there's nothing even wrong with them. He's not that kind of person. All he wanted to do was provide for his family and continue to grow and continue to build this foundation and what we've worked so hard for over here, literally from the ground up. Because when we both got out of treatment in 2015, we didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and now we have a house and a business, and well, now I do. So then there's the business and all his vehicles and all of his equipment, all of his stuff that he's worked so hard for. What do I do, just sell it? No, I can't let that shit go. So then also on Monday night, he sat down and he started writing his accounts down and who he was gonna distribute them to. It's up to him if he was going to sell them, give them away. I didn't question it. I didn't ask what. I saw him writing them down, and I knew something was happening. Because he was not ever going to let his business go. Ever let his business go like that. And I just remember Monday night, he was having a hard time writing him. He was having a hard time writing them down and struggling because the cancer is just in his whole body at this point. And I told him, put the notepad down. He said, just put it down, honey, we'll finish it tomorrow. And I've been sleeping up on the couch with him all week because he didn't want to be left alone. And he had to sleep in the chair. And I come downstairs one night, Monday night, to sleep because my back was killing me on the couch. When I went up there on Tuesday morning, he was slipping away. I almost lost him then. I'm gonna insert a picture. It's pretty intense, so I hope it doesn't offend anybody. And the only reason I took this picture is because I had just made a friend of ours who's like a brother to him. His name is Jack. And we sat down and did a HPOA literally on Monday night together. Jack went to his office and printed it right up so that I can have somebody help me that is of reason, sound, and mind if I needed somebody to help me make those really hard health care decisions on somebody's end of life. And thankfully, I didn't need him to really help me, but it was nice to have him as an option. So that's why I took that photo. So I sent it to him. And I said, I gotta call 911. He's gonna die. He's gonna die right here. And then they came and picked him up, and he was in and out. You know, he was in and out. I managed to get him up, and he didn't know what was going on. He didn't even remember being like that. And he was fading in and out really fast. And I just knew when he went into the ambulance that time he was never coming home again. I knew it. I knew I was never gonna come home again. And Jack was there, and a good friend of ours, Rick, was there. All three of us cried, and we said, at least we know he's not gonna be in pain no more. And so that was Tuesday, and on into Wednesday, April 11th. because he died April 15th, so. He was in the ICU on Wednesday up there, and in the midst of all this, I've been in the process of buying our home, and I applied for the loan like 10 days ago to this point, and I didn't ever hear anything back, and usually loans don't take that long, you know, to get a response, and I was worried about it, and I'm like, oh, I'm probably not gonna get it, and I just sitting there with him in the hospital, and I got an email, and literally the email was telling me I got approved for the loan, and I just remember reading it to him, and he had tears running down his face. He was so happy for me, and he's like, oh honey, I'm so proud of you. Look at you, you're doing it. You're such a hard worker, and I knew you could do it. And literally, I swear to you guys, from that moment forward is when he started to surrender and let go, truly. Because then I had to make the hardest decision of my life and tell him, as I'm rubbing his head, that let's go to a hospice center and get you better. You know, we'll start there, because all he wanted to do was in-home hospice. He just wanted to be home. And then I would have never taken that from him. In his mind, he was always going to come home to in-home hospice. So. But I told him, I said, look, we'll get you to hospice, and it's beautiful. The place is absolutely beautiful. It's like a hotel. They'll take such good care of you. And at this point, it's all about your quality of life. You know, I don't want you to be in any more pain and suffering anymore. You don't deserve it. He said, you get your strength back up. Show us that you can walk again. And you come home to in-home hospice. And he said, it doesn't have to mean it's the end. Like, they're there to help you. And if you get better, let's say you fall again, they're going to always be there. It's a great place. Like, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I made sure he was a part of that decision to go to hospice. Even though he was barely in and out at that point, I made sure he was a part of that decision. And he agreed. And he wanted to go. You know, I had to make that decision. And then you have people, what about his treatments? And what about this? And what about his breathing treatments? And what about this? Treatments and chemo. I'm like, it's done. It's over. Just let him be comfortable at this point. Put sign for the DNR. That's it. Meaning you can't call 911 no more. So do not resuscitate. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do. So Thursday he went to hospice, literally the next day. And I made sure I was at the hospital when he left on Thursday. And I said, I'll meet you there. For whatever reason, I didn't get there right away, and I had to come home to get my shit together because I was falling apart. So I came home for like an hour, and I head up there. And I go to hospice, and I get a phone call when I'm in the lobby of a hospice. And I just got there. They said they see a change in his condition. I'm like, I'm here. I'm here right now. I'm coming. Like, and I go back to his room, and he's unresponsive. And he always responds to my voice. No matter what, he would always respond to my voice, and he wasn't responding to my voice at this point. And I freaked out because I didn't know at this point. We just didn't know. He had just got there. So I called his son, and I called his nephew, and I said, you guys might want to come up here because he's not responding to my voice right now, and we just don't know. We don't know. It could be at any time. So his son got up there first, and that was absolutely heartbreaking to watch his son break down like that. So that's everything for part 2 on Robert's video. And again, I'm sitting down and I look different because I didn't put intros and outros to the video because I was unsure where I was going to pick up and leave off, and I knew it was going to be a to be continued and go into a 2 or 3 part video for you guys because it is a lot of detail I go into. So that's everything for part 2. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know, have you experienced or have somebody in your life currently who is diagnosed with cancer, or have you lost somebody to cancer? It's reading comments like your guys's that touch my heart and remind me that I'm not alone in what I'm going through in this grief and losing the only person who meant the entire world to me. So I really do enjoy reading all your guys' comments, and just thank you for the tremendous amount of support thus far on this video. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like it. And until next time, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Bye.